This is Renee Romeo of reneeromeo.com. I'm here today to show you 14 different ways to decorate the same Christmas sugar cookie. This is such an easy project for you. You actually could get your kids involved. All we're doing is breaking this down into little individual snippets and making each and every cookie a very simple project. So join me and I'll show you exactly how to get this done in no time. The first thing I do is make a sketch of all the cookies that I would like to make. So I have a variety. I've got 14 different styles here, and I'm only doing one batch of sugar cookies. I have a list of all of the colors that I'm going to need to mix to accommodate all of the cookies. I'm rolling out the sugar cookie dough. This is my best sugar cookies cutout recipe that I'm using today, and I have it sitting on top of this fondant mat. And this fondant mat is great because it's got 1-inch grid pattern all over it, and I can go ahead, roll this out, and make a beautiful cut of rectangles. Using a nice flat rolling pin, I'm rolling this out to 1/4 inch thick. And then I'm going to take a pizza cutter. So this is an ordinary pizza cutter, and I'm going to cut it according to the lines. I'm just going to follow along with the lines and remove the excess dough from the areas. So I'm going to follow down 4 inches, and I'm just following along the lines, and I'm keeping my eye ahead of my blade to make sure that I make a nice even cut all the way along this line. The cookies went in for 15 minutes at 350 degrees, and you'll see they spread about 1/4 inch in each direction. So this is just the perfect size to create all of these little masterpieces on these little cookies. And I had some royal icing left over from a previous project that I had in the freezer, so I put it in the bowl and I mixed that for 30 seconds and it's ready to go. This is flooding consistency, which is a little bit thinner than any of the royal icings that you have that you want to actually stand up on top of the surface. So I'm just going to start flooding all the cookies with the white backgrounds and go from there. So I have the mistletoe background done, I have the holly background done, and I'm working on getting this little snowman done. So let me just show you my technique for that. I'm just lining the edge with my number 5 tip and just filling it in, grabbing a skewer and making sure that everything is nice and filled in. You can get nice sharp edges this way too, so any kind of flooding you need to do on your cookie, use one of these skewers and you'll always have a perfect edge. And then I'm working on the Santa cookie. So he gets a little band of white along his hat, leaving a space for his face. It's going to come right around here, and then his beard is going to come just like this. Now I'm doing the peppermints, and you'll see I'm doing this the easy way. I'm kind of doing this in 3 little spots. It's going to make it a lot easier this way to start right in the middle. I think the middle one is easier to start with. So you start in the middle, and then you can just flood this in. And I'm using a smaller tip. So this is a number 2 tip, and this is just to make sure that I'm able to get a nice clean edge on this little circle versus flooding a larger area. Now I'll make the stripe for the Santa outfit. Again, with a number 2 tip. And last but not least, the candy canes here have a number 2 tip, and I'm just flooding these in very easily. Now I'll switch to blue, and I have muted colors here, so I'm just going to mix these up according to the colors on the sugars. Now I'm working on the background for the little snowflake cookie. So this cookie is actually going to have a flooded background, so I'm going to go ahead with my blue and get this filled in. Really, the great thing about this is that you can embellish at this point and go ahead and put some sprinkles on it all along the edges. And you'll see the snowman and the Christmas tree are both going to have the same treatment. So I have my cookie flooded. I'm going to pick it up for you to see. And this is just going to have a little bit of white sugar at the top to mimic snow. To make polka dots that are nicely incorporated into your icing, you're just going to flood out your cookie in whatever background color you have, and then you're going to take a number 5 tip again and you're going to just put dots on here. And as this thing sits, it's going to just melt right into the icing underneath. So there's this one, and there's this one, and it's kind of laying right out. Now, the next one is one of my favorites. It looks so difficult, but it's not. So I have my cookie flooded with white icing, and I'm taking a number 2 tip, and I'm just going to actually make like a larger dot, larger dot. You see, larger dot, larger dot. And then this is just going to follow up where I'm gradually tapering this to the top, getting smaller and smaller. So this is what you have. Now, you're going to take a skewer and you're going to grab it right at the top and go down through the center. And this is just such an amazing looking little Christmas tree. It's day 2 of Christmas cookie decorating, and I've made up a new batch of royal icing. I've taken little individual bowls and tinted out the rest of the colors that I need to complete the project. But just to keep in mind, if you're using this Wilton Color Right system to tint your royal icing, it comes with a little pamphlet, and the little pamphlet refers to an entire batch of royal icing. So some of my colors aren't quite right, and I'll show you a little way where you can kind of fudge it and make the colors work for you. All the cookies have been drying throughout the day yesterday, and so what I did just before bed, I transferred them from their racks to plastic containers with lids and kept them covered overnight, just lightly. They're not a sealed container, it's just a lid on top of it. And I pulled them out this morning, so they're ready to go. The first thing I'm working on today is completing this reindeer. And so the reindeer, I didn't get a chance to put the brown in and flood it yesterday, so I'm doing that right now, and I'm doing that first thing so that by this afternoon, everything's going to be ready to go. And I'm going to take my brown and just flood in the rest of the cookie. So I'm taking some gold tinted sugar, and I'm just laying it over the entire surface of that brown, and I'll let it dry. Just like that. And then I'll make a little brown pot for the Christmas tree to sit in, like so. So as I'm putting the ornaments on the potted tree, you'll remember we did the greenery wet on wet and made this nice design really flat, and so the ornaments are going to stick up a little bit. When you look over the surface of the cookie, it'll be multi-dimensional. Now I'm finishing up the peppermints, so I have a number 2 tip here, and this is a very simple pattern. So you're just going to start at the top, come around the bottom, kind of like an hourglass look, and fill in the center. And then do the same thing in the opposite direction, cross over, and go back. If you break these patterns down into simple little pieces, it really makes everything so much easier to get through. So these are just 4 triangles put together. I'm back to my number 5 tip, and I'm putting the red on this candy cane, and I'm not being all that neat about it because I'm going to go back in and work with the skewer to get everything neatened up. I have a little bit more control that way versus using my number 5 tip. And for me, this is really the way to get a nice crisp edge all the way along every single stripe. And I have the bands on the little snowman hat that I'm just adding a little bit of adorable red sugar to. And now let's go back to this little Santa suit. And it's just, again, simple flooding, number 5 tip. And all you're going to do is pick out where you're going to have the little belt. And the nutcrackers and the Santas I've treated the exact same way, so I have a number 5 tip again. Now this isn't quite sharp enough to get into these little areas here where you have to kind of pull it up. So this is another great way to use your skewer and smooth everything out and pull this icing right up to the edge where it needs to be. makes it really, really simple and nice and neat. Now that all the flooding is done, I'm dealing with this beautiful marshmallow consistency royal icing. Both versions are available on the website, and you can kind of see the differences on how to make this. And it's really just a matter of adding the right amount of water to your mixture. But what it's going to do is it's going to make all of the embellishments that I put on top of the flooded pieces, they're going to kind of sit on top of them and kind of stick up and be multi-dimensional. Now here's the holly all done. Very, very simple. I outlined everything. I'm going to do the mistletoe the exact same way. And so this is just with a number 2 tip, and I'm just following along with my design. And just really, this is so simple to do. You don't need to be an artist to do this. All I'm doing, I'm just kind of dragging this along, zigzagging in and out. Finished. Really gorgeous. And look at, it's kind of sitting up on top. It's going to be multi-dimensional. It's going to be beautiful. And now the tree, we're going to be doing this tree right here. And again, green with the number 2 tip. Cute. I'm finishing up the candy cane with a little bit of green, something a little non-traditional. And I've got my number 2 tip. And really this is just filling in a smaller gap in between the red and white stripes. And I'm taking some green sugar crystals here and just putting them on top. And one great tip for you is to make sure that you have a cookie sheet underneath this so that you can gather up all the glitter that's gone to the bottom and you can put it back in your container. And there's all my gathered sugar right back into the container. Now I'm going to do the little snowman that goes on the blue background. And I have one done here, and I've just got my number 2 tip. And so it's just a circle for the head, filled in, an oval for the body, filled in, and then some white snow along the bottom edge. If you attempt to do your snowflakes with royal icing that's at flooding consistency, you're going to be supremely sorry. You really need to put that back in a bowl and mix it up for a couple of minutes to get it to be nice and stiff again. And don't be crazy about this because nothing in nature is perfect. So that's what you wind up with. So you can continue doing this one line with an X over the top and then little V's over the ends. And you'll have adorable little snowflakes. So now I need to come back in and put this little snout in for the reindeer. And you notice a lot of these motifs are very similar. And if you're making a platter of cookies, you always have to think about how it's going to look on the plate. So if you've got the same motifs going through a lot of your cookies, they'll all relate to one another. And the little tree gets a nice gold star, but it's not really a star, it's just a giant blob of icing because I'm going to get my gold sugar again, put it over the top, sprinkle it off, and it looks so cute. Now I have my red, and so this red is still at flooding consistency and it's a number 5 tip, so these ornaments are going to spread. And that's kind of what I want because this is getting a little overwhelming with the blue and the green. And I've just taken a little bit of brown for the tree trunk and I'm just going to maneuver this out so that it flares out at the bottom a little bit on both sides. And I'm just finishing off the berries with some sprinkles. Beautiful. And now for the mistletoe. I've just got a few little dots here that I'll finish off with some of these sugar crystals. And then I'll make a bow at the top, which is basically just 2 simple triangles. And then a little piece along the top. So my reindeer has a little reddish pink nose, like that. And then I'm putting a bow on the top. And you know, bows are usually done in 2 different segments. So I'm doing this piece first. So I actually have the bow part done, and I'll go back in and do the center, and it'll make it really pop and really look nice. And the little nutcracker number 2 tip is just going to get a little bit of gold embellishment here along the band of his hat. And then he has little fasteners for his jacket with buttons. Let's say you have a little mishap. Well, what do? What I did was I just took a little bit of the white icing, and I'm just going to go over the top of it, make it look purposeful. Now our little snowman needs a scarf. Like so. And he needs a little carrot nose, and this is a yellow carrot we're using this year. And here comes Santa's eyebrows and mustache. So this is a number 13 tip. Now the number 13 tip is just a tiny little star, but what it's giving me is just a little bit more ability to manipulate this frosting in place and kind of add a little bit of extra dimension that the round tips don't give you. So I just switched over to this just to see how it would do, and I think it's working great. And let's just finish off the Santa very simply. He's got 3 little buttons. And the buttons, I have a little bit of black sugar. So the black sugar goes on that, tap it off, and then he gets 2 eyes and a nose. The thing I love about playing with consistencies for royal icing is that you can get a different look out of something based simply on texture. So if you kind of look at this one, you could see it looks like leather. It looks like patent leather compared to the rest of the outfit. It's going to look great and convincing. And look at our little snowman here. We're going to finish this little guy off. So number 2 tip again, real easy. 2 eyeballs, 2 buttons. Now for the arms, it's made in sections. So I do them opposite one another so I can kind of get the same look out of both sides. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now don't worry, again, nothing in nature is perfect. There's supposed to be twigs, and he looks really cute. Now here's the nutcracker face. We're just going to do 2 little eyebrows, 2 little eyeballs, a nose, and a mustache. Now, writing on cookies with frosting might not be your forte, but if you make a mistake, make it look purposeful. That's my advice about writing on cookies. They're just straight lines, or as straight as you can get them. But look at that. It really turned out cute. It's not perfect, but it's perfect enough. And I'm finishing up the bows. I still have that number 5 tip. But in this case, I'm going ahead and I'm putting a little more sugar on there just to get this to pop. It looks really cute and dimensional this way. Same thing with the reindeer. Some crystals. Beautiful. So I put 3 little gold dots in the center of this, and I'm just making this holly look more 3-dimensional by adding a little spine to it, to every little leaf tip. So cute. And now for the buckle. So the buckle This gold I'm not thrilled with the color of, and like I told you, this is a great way to just manipulate that color a little bit, and it does match the crystals. Watch this. That's just beautiful. It's just perfect, and it's a great way just to manipulate that color even further. I'm on my last cookie. This is the little snowman. And so this frosting right here is not flooding consistency, but it's not a big deal because I'm putting some sugar dust over the top of it, and it's going to turn out looking great. You can just see the transformation. So it looks more like a woolen winter hat anyway, and that's exactly what I'm going for. For the snowman, I like to do this in 3 separate steps because it's a little difficult to try to get this to look great the first time out if you're doing everything all at once and you're doing the eyes and the nose at the same time. So here's the carrot. And then here's the mouth. Oh. I had so much fun making these cookies, everything from mixing all the different color icings to putting all the little sugar crystals on. This is what Christmas is all about for me, cookie baking. So whether you choose to try one style cookie or all 14, I know you're going to have an easy time of it if you break everything down into little snippets. It makes it a lot more manageable for you. If you line everything up assembly line style, it makes it so much easier, start to finish, if you're just using your bags of icing all in a row. Whatever's needed at the time, that's what you grab. So that's my advice for you, and I hope you try this project because your family and friends are just going to love it. So this is Renee Romeo of ReneeRomeo.com. Happy holidays.